Okay, so first we're going to talk about the term coterminal. Coterminal means that they are going to start and end at the same point. So when we're talking about typically like a unit circle situation, we're going to always start here at our 0 on the x-axis, and we're going to go counterclockwise. So if I'm going to graph 3 pi over 7, I'm going to mark out my basic 0, pi over 2, pi, and 3 pi over 2. And so if I have 3 pi over 7, that's going to be in my first quadrant. I know that because if I had 3.5 pi over 7, that would be pi over 2. So we're going to say that 3 pi over 7 is approximately right here. So if I have a coterminal angle to 3 pi over 7, any angle, it could go around and around and around as long as it ends here, is considered coterminal. So this question is saying give a non-coterminal angle. So specifically non-coterminal angle, meaning it does not end at the same point, but it has the same sine value as that 3 pi over 7. Well, in order for it to have the same sine value as the 3 pi over 7, they have to be the same positive, negative. So if I'm looking at my quadrants, in quadrant 1, my sine value is positive and my cosine value is positive. Remember, cosine is your x value, sine is your y value. In quadrant 2, my cosine is negative, my sine is positive. Quadrant 3, both my cosine and my sine are negative. In quadrant 4, my cosine is positive and my sine is negative. The other thing that we need to consider is that all reference angles have the same sine and cosine value other than their positives and negatives. So if I were to get a reference angle, and remember, a reference angle is an angle that is closest to the x-axis. So if I were to choose a reference angle in this second quadrant that is the same reference angle as this one in my first quadrant, it will have the same sine value and it will also both be positive. So what I need to do is I need to find the reference angle that happens at the same exact point over here. That would mean it is exactly 3 pi over 7 away from this x-axis. So what is pi if I were to get a common denominator? Well, 7 pi over pi is the same thing as pi. I need an angle that is 3 pi over 7 away from 7 pi over 7. So if I were to subtract that, 7 pi over 7 minus 3 pi over 7, 4 pi over 7. So 4 pi over 7, that angle would start here and go right there. 4 pi over 7. 4 pi over 7 would not end at the same exact point. Clearly, 4 pi over 7 ends here, not here. But the reference angle would be the same as my 3 pi over 7. And because I'm in the second quadrant, the sine value is positive. So it would give me the same sine value in the second quadrant as I got for 3 pi over 7 in the first quadrant. So a non-coterminal angle that has the same sine value as 3 pi over 7 would be 4 pi over 7. Now, this would have the same cosine value as well, except my cosine would be negative. So if we look at question 4, a non-coterminal angle that has the same cosine value as 3 pi over 7, well, it can't be in the second quadrant because my cosine is negative here. It can't be in the third quadrant, so I can't do a 3 pi over 7 here because that's also negative. I have to then do an angle that is 3 pi over 7 away from this x-axis right here, because this would give me a positive cosine. So if I start back at the beginning and go all the way around and stop 3 pi over 7 away from my x-axis, this will give me the same cosine value as 3 pi over 7. So if you want a positive coterminal angle, 0 is the same as 2 pi. So I could say, if I'm looking for a non-coterminal with the same cosine value as 3 pi over 7, I could say negative 3 pi over 7, because remember, negative just goes this direction. If I want it to be positive, then I need to take that 2 pi, because I need to go all the way around in the positive direction. So I'm going to say, well, 3 pi over 7 away from 2 pi, just get a common denominator. That's 14 pi over 7 minus 3 pi over 7. That's going to give me 11 pi over 7. So that's what it would be if I traveled all the way around in the positive direction. That's 11 pi over 7. If I want it to be positive, that would be my coterminal, non-coterminal angle. So coterminal means I end at the same spot. Non-coterminal means I end at a different spot. But remember, reference angles will always give you the same sine or cosine value, just the positive negative changes. So if I want this exact same sign, I need to be in the second quadrant. First and second will have the same positive sign. If I want the same cosine, I need to be from first to fourth quadrant with that same reference angle, the distance away from the x-axis.